Oh God, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you guys were here. Sorry, I was watching a little bit of GameStop, seeing if this thing. It actually went lower when I did that. That's my bad. But hey, the face cap. Oh my God, it's literally going so much lower. We'll see what happens with this come morning. But remember, we're going to be paying attention to this and a lot of things going forward because we got to give you some technical analysis for the SPY Qs, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Nvidia, AMD, and Meta, looking into AMC and GME as well. And then we're going to go look at volatility a little bit towards the end of this video. So we're going to get into it today, starting off with the SPY. And yes, we did take a vote and we're bringing the face cam back. So hopefully you enjoy it. Let's get into it. But before we get into something like GameStop, we have to get through a few stocks that we're paying attention to. And one of those, the first one being the SPY, right? We want to keep an eye on the overall market, how things are going. And we're noticing that what happened? Well, we saw those reversal signals from Nvidia and we caught that and it turned to the upside exactly how we thought it would. Now we're looking for some kind of 2 hour that might see a good move if CPI is some good information. That's right. Today, we do have the debate. We have GameStop earnings and then first thing in the morning, an hour before the open, we will get that CPI. So we will be live tomorrow morning to watch that with you. Now, at the same time, we have to pay attention to what's going on in the signals right now. As of right now, you're looking like, hey, we're in bounce territory. We're curled up. So you're seeing some positive momentum in negative territory, which tells you as of right now, you're still bouncing. And something to be aware of is the daily expected move. And we talked about this during the live show. And I said, wouldn't it be fun if that daily expected move was somewhere around the weekly expected move? And it looks like we do have that at this moment. Now, the upside daily expected move for tomorrow for the SPY is 555.42, so 555.42 to the upside. We do have 542.16 to the downside. These have spread out compared to what went on today being Tuesday, so they have spread out for tomorrow, which makes sense. We have a bunch of events going on into tomorrow and tomorrow itself. So we're paying attention to a lot, but overall, we're looking for some signals to happen here, okay? We're looking for something. We're going to talk about the 2 hour and go into a 30-minute in a second. The 2 hour continues to head up. That's the most likely scenario with the signals as they are right now. CPI can really change that. The GameStop reaction could change that, right? Things can change. At this moment, though, we would say if that positivity is going to come in, the most likely place that it would gravitate towards is that upside daily expected move, which sits right by a weekly expected move. Now, during the live show, I did say if we make a move like this and get a little too excited, watch out if that rolls down because this is not a very, very sturdy base. This would just be a random V shape at this point. So we have to pay attention if dailies are curling up because of this. But at the moment, we just see a 2 hour getting close to the center line. So when we're talking about downside and there's no reversal signals, we have to be open to this rolling back down into negative territory, creating that overall better signal for upside. A sturdier base is what would be nice here as a trader, but we have to pay attention to if that daily rolls up because this could be an overall V-shaped recovery. The dollar is also saying, yesterday we did post that in the YouTube video last night, we overall stated, hey, this could be some kind of short-term short squeeze that ends up being a bull trap. And I think that still holds some weight. We'll see if that bull trap is going to take place. I moved something, Control Z. What we're going to do is make sure that those signals are still forming as we reach this top side move. So we'll pay attention to that going forward. I just wanted to talk about the 30-minute briefly for the SPY because you did get a little blip here where you went red and we were saying to pay attention to that. But this is a good thing to understand. If you see a green positive bar, right? Positive versus the last one, right? We headed up on this bar by 0.16 and you did cross over that MACD really close to the center line. You can pay attention to that. You can manage risk with that. Sometimes what I like to do is pay attention to the next bar. If it crosses over on a positive bar, I'll pay attention to the next one and see if there's some kind of follow through move. That's just a note there, but you're still close to that center line. So 2 hour heading up and up and up. If you get some good news from that CPI, that can continue. And this is where we have to talk about some bullish things, okay? We'll talk about some bullish things because we did just talk about how we could head down by curling over on a 2 hour, but how would we overall want to head higher from here? And if we really look, where is that daily expected move? Not only is it by the weekly expected move, but it lines up with a pretty important area being the breakdown area. So if we're going to get positivity, we're going to test that breakdown area and then we have to see what happens. Are we going to be able to build up and break through it? How we would build up and break through it is really complete the overall cupping in this area, see some kind of handle. It might not be the best looking cup and handle in the world, but this is overall what you're looking for. A reaction to test that level, maybe we reject off of it slightly and then we're able to curl back up on that 30-minute. That would cause this 30-minute to go extremely positive and you would once again be in a 30-minute positive trend and most likely taking that 2 hour trend trend higher. Okay, so those are all things that I'd be paying attention to. We talked about getting reactions to the monthly, and that all played out. And now we're heading to the upside again. We're going positive, so everything's looking pretty good for the SPY at this moment. I would just be aware of any time that the 30-minute rolls over early on in the day. Okay, we're going to talk about a bearish thing here, and that would be the bearish thing is if the 30-minute rotates over early on in the day. Okay, if that rotates over early on in the day, we could end up going and filling this gap, creating some kind of double bottom. And those are the things that I would mainly be paying attention to with the SPY. Let's go get into the Qs for a second and finish this up. Finishing up the SPY and the Qs real quick, we just noticed that that rejection took place on the 30-minute for the Qs. That's why we were talking about with the SPY. If you see a positive bar, sometimes you want to wait for that follow through play before you actually manage to trade. That's just a good little tip there, something that I actually do. So this 30-minute headed higher. What happened to this? Well, it went up towards a daily expected move. I actually didn't update these, so let's update them in real time. Why not, right? So as we look at these moves, we can pay attention to the Qs. I'm going to just guess. I'm just going to guess that the daily expected move is going to be above this weekly expected move. Who thinks I'm right? Who thinks I'm right? Let's see. All right, 465.82 to the upside. So we have 465.82 to the upside there. And boom, look at that. You're right above the weekly expected move, kind of what we were talking about in the live stream today. For the downside, you do have 451.50. Okay, so coming up just a little bit. Okay. And so what we need to pay attention to is just do this a little bit backwards, right? We're not always looking at a 2-hour chart first. Sometimes you got your 30-minute up and you see a chart. Okay, if this curls down, that's where we need to pay attention. Because if that curls down, maybe we go make that stronger base, right? Come down to this gap, maybe we make some kind of double bottom. That's what I'd be paying attention to the downside at this moment. Now, if we're gonna see that trap continue, because it looks like the dollar is bottoming, so we're gonna talk about that in a little bit, but the 2-hour would continue to head higher, and that overall could get you into some trouble. Now, on the 2-hour, right, we talked about the SPY. This would be a great reaction, kind of a breakdown area still. We got a reaction to that area before with this wick. So if we wanted to head higher, a curl down from this area that curls back up on a 30-minute would be what we're looking for more positivity going forward, right? To curl up that daily chart. If we're going to see this as, hey, we need a sturdier base down here, well, then we might react all the way up there, see some of that rigged behavior, and then that might just cross over and end up being kind of bad. And then we'll see if that makes any kind of reversal signal. But those are mainly what I'm seeing as far as it goes with the Qs, as far as bullish and bearish scenarios. Now, Apple was able to do a pretty cool thing, turn up the 2-hour with the signals in here. They haven't been looking too bad. What I'd be looking for from this 2-hour is actual positivity. It's looking pretty weak. So we mainly will be paying attention to a 30-minute chart for Apple. But if that 2-hour can even react all the way up to 225.84, watch out. It's still negative and it doesn't have the best divergences at the same time. It does have it a little bit here, I would say, on the 2-hour for the RSI. Just barely, maybe not even there, honestly. But the 30-minute, it's not on the MACD for the 2-hour. The 30-minute was the main signal. A few managements of the trade. We bottled up in this area. We chose a direction, but we couldn't close breaking through. So what I need to pay attention to early on in the day is if we're going to go grab some more buyers, maybe this 30-minute shifts down real quick and then pops right back up, right? This 30-minute shifts down and cracks right back up. That's what I'd be really paying attention to. But as of right now, that 2-hour signal has crossed, meaning the most likely thing for Apple is still positivity until that 30-minute does cross down. A lot of people asking me about Tesla, and that 30-minute was able to curl up, but I don't like this wonkiness. Even with the rejections we're getting, that's fantastic. You never have to manage the trade if you're looking at it like that, but the hourly is going to be a lot more clear. The reason we're going to talk about the hourly is because there's a way up and there's a way down. The way up is pretty obvious. We break through this level. We see those charts start to curl up on bigger time frames, and we're a go. But for now, that would be left head, maybe a right shoulder over here. Maybe this is it right here. Now, there is a bearish thing that can take place too. If we react to this zone, this is a sell zone. So I'd be paying attention to this, saying, hey, if it's going to be bullish, maybe you get that little cup and handle to break through, get rid of this overall flagging on bigger time frames. If we're going to head down, you might see a little hourly double top. And so this is where you want to do, if this goes up to this area and crosses down on this MACD, if this goes like this and crosses down, that will be divergence. You have to treat it as this is bad. But if that curls right back up, if that hourly can curl right back up, then you would immediately flip the script. Being a flip-flopper as a trader is good. We follow the signals. We trade like water. And that's overall how I'm seeing it for Tesla. Obviously, if we see bad news in the morning and that hourly curls over, where is it? It's pretty close to that center line. So we can experience negativity, all right? Now, if we're going to experience extreme negativity, look for us to break through these levels and start to curl down on some bigger charts. I would even say like a weekly or something like that. But overall, I think the 4-hour would be good to follow. If we're seeing a major breakdown, you see that curl down, we could end up in a 4-hour downtrend for Tesla going forward. So that's something to pay attention to. But for now, I think your hourly chart is the best one. I know we don't talk about hourlies too often, but I think you're looking for either a divergence at this level that leads to the downturn, or this is going to cup and handle. So you got two scenarios to pay attention to there. You just have to react, push the buttons, let the indicators do the trading for you. Amazon overall is not the best trade setups in the world and not the best view, I would say. If it wanted to back up from this area, it would make sense, but the 2-hour is positive. So all I'm going to mainly say about Amazon going forward for tomorrow is the 2-hour is positive in positive territory, and that's something you have to pay attention to. That means the most likely direction is up. Now, if the 30-minute crosses down, that's a different story. So the way you treat Amazon right now is either we're going to get a 2-hour to continue to pop or a 30-minute pullback, right? That's what we have to talk about early on here because this 30-minute did go pretty positive. So you notice it would be a lot of work for that 30-minute to go down. So maybe it reacts down, gets down to that 174.51 level if that's negative, and then ends up curling back up. We're going to mainly talk about positivity for Amazon on the 30-minute because that MACD positioning. If you need to learn about the MACD a little bit deeper, you just see it as some lines that when they cross, sometimes stocks go up. You need to get a little bit more information in there. You need a better understanding of these indicators. That is what we teach in the courses down in the description. You can get both of those courses still 90% off until Thursday. So Thursday is going to be the last day to get it at that price. And then it is going up. We extended it because I had some personal stuff going on. But for now, I would grab that while it lasts. You can get pretty much $2,000 worth of value for $150. It's literally the best sale I'm ever going to do. And it's ending very, very soon before that price goes up. But something here that's very clear to me is this MACD is very high up. So for me to say crash immediately, no, this could just, fizzle out, go like this, and then turn back up. It could react down quickly down to 174.51 and turn back up. So I'd be paying attention to the next curl up for the 30-minute as far as an actual trade setup goes for Amazon. Now, Nvidia was very close to doing something bad, and that was rolling over the 30-minute signal. The 30-minute signal is what we were looking for this to reach down to find some more buyers, right? Maybe create a little higher low in here. That did not happen. That actually rejected and turned back up, which just tells you, as this isn't even overbought, this can see more upside. It tells you that the cup and handle we were talking about, or if you wanted to say left head, right shoulder, I get it. But that is overall what the correct play looks like at this moment. The 2-hour is still positive. This can all change by morning, by the way. Just keep that in your mind that everything can change by morning because of maybe GME earnings or because of the CPI in the morning. So a lot can change by morning. That's why we're going to be live tomorrow morning to watch some stocks with you and pay attention to the signals with you to make things a little bit better. As of right now, the 2-hour is still in negative territory. So even if this went all the way up or something like that, maybe to a weekly expected move, that would just get you close to that center line. You got to pay attention if that starts to rotate down. Now, if we wanted to really get excited, get up to this level, I think that's where you would create some kind of cup and handle to remain bullish. If we're going to just spike up a little bit and then see that 2-hour cross down, we might need to make a stronger base, right? This did have the 30-minute divergence. That's why we were confident in saying that upside was the most potential for Monday. And the signals held for Tuesday as well. So upside is there. Congratulations and thank you if you're subscribed and give a like to the channel. But for the most part, this is not the strongest base because it does not have a 2-hour divergence. 2-hour divergences like to turn up daily charts. And so that's why I pay attention to them. I have back tested them and they have proven to do that a lot of the time. So if we need a stronger base, you might see that 2-hour curl down and then create a divergence. But you want to treat that as this could be very bad. And then if it turns around, I'm ready to react. One stock seeing some upside that could actually need a pullback early on in the day is AMD. AMD actually could create some pretty good structure here. You look like you have a left head and right shoulder in front of me. Left head, right shoulder could form, right? So really pay attention if this 30-minute is going to rotate down. As of right now, though, the 2-hour is saying upside is the most potential. It's getting close to that center line. So watch if that 2-hour experiences more weakness because this was trying to make the same signal as Nvidia, but it wasn't as good, but it's still seeing the good price action. So if this curls down and curls up on the 30-minute, that could be bullish. And then if this 2-hour actually just keeps extending, obviously it is bullish right now. But if that 2-hour actually does rotate down, then you want to see see, is that making a stronger base? I think that's what we really need to pay attention to. I think we might see some kind of upside with the whole cutting of rates narrative, the rate cut narrative, unless we start to see, hey, they're reacting because they're having to do 50 basis points or something like that. That is what we need to pay attention to as well, because that could mean they're reacting for a certain reason. We've seen some weakness in banks throughout our day, looking at some stocks live on the live show. If you want to go look through some of those stocks, we looked at Wells Fargo, we looked at JP Morgan. Those were two examples that we're seeing some downside, and that's why we have to pay attention to those. The two things we said to pay attention to, everyone wants to pay attention to CPI. CPI is not something that is going to crash the market unless it causes them to have to cut rates quickly, unless banks react because of it. The main two things that are going to upset the market are going to be unemployment, aka jobs data, and the banks, right? The banks are really going to do it. So if banks are in trouble, they might have to cut rates really quickly, and that's when you want to react. But the overall signals here are we going to curl down on that 30-minute and create some kind of right shoulder? Or is the CPI going to be good news and this 2 hour just extends up? Or the bearish thing, which is that 2 hour rotates down, maybe we're able to make some kind of reversal signal down here for AMD on the 2 hour scale. Meta, a little bit worrisome, as this looks like it's just holding at lower levels. So what you're overall going to see here is the 2 hour was able to curl up, but does that look strong by any means? No, it doesn't. So that tells me I need to immediately pull open my 30-minute and see if that is going to break to the downside. If that curls down on that 30-minute, that's going to be a bad sign. Now, there was one slightly good thing at the today, which is you actually were able to create some form of higher low here, right? If I draw this across, it is a higher low, and that is pretty close to the center line. So if that 30-minute can go positive, that 2 hour does have more to say, and that could actually extend upward. On a lot of these charts, though, if we're going to see dramatic upside because of CPI right now and people get excited for rate cuts, well, then we need to see dailies curling up. Dailies curling up would be interesting. I would just watch out for September 18th when we actually get the Fed interest rate decision. All right, now it's time for AMC and GME. We're seeing some downside. Now, people are overall disappointed with the downside, but we're going to talk about with GME. Why don't we go over that first, actually, and just show you, oh, we put some mayo on it. We put some Japanese mayo on that thing. But for the most part, we need to pay attention to the daily scale. The daily scale is positive. We're seeing dramatic downside. A lot can change by morning, but for now, we just wanted to say, this is something interesting. The earnings, this little E down here does matter. And not only were you paying attention to earnings, I was paying attention to earnings, but short sellers and the market makers were paying attention to earnings as well. So that tells me, hey, they knew about this, they were prepared for this, but was the news good enough to project it higher? That's what we're going to see in the price action. I can show you the numbers, I can tell you it's good news and say all those things, but if it's not proven in the actual momentum of the stock, in the price action, it doesn't even matter, right? If they're just shutting down the stock, that's perfectly fine because you knew and they knew about earnings. So they were prepared for it. That's what I believe at this moment. Can the buying pressure really make them run out of money? That's what you're kind of looking for here as the daily scale tries to go positive on that MACD. Now, since we're breaking down GameStop early on here, this 2 hour signal, it does have a pullback signal in it. So there was a pullback signal that did confirm at the end of the day. So the most likely thing for GameStop here with earnings, according to the technicals, I know earnings is kind of its own thing. It's a 50-50 flip, but for the most part, the 2 hour was saying, I have divergence here. Watch out because I could get a 2 hour pullback or even a daily pullback with that signal. So I'd be paying attention to if that daily does roll down, and then you want to see if that thing can roll back up. In the shorter term, the very short term, aka tomorrow morning, this thing is still right by the center line on a 30-minute. When the big moment happened, a 30-minute crossed up, and it was not able to cross back down until it hit crazy amounts of money, right? So if you're looking for that moment, then you need this 30-minute to curl up into positive territory. Are we seeing that right now in the post market? No, a lot can change by morning, so we'll pay attention to it. As far as AMC goes, you need the same thing. And this thing saw some good positivity at the end of the day. The only problem is it wasn't able to curl up that MACD, telling you the most probable thing is upside. As of right now, for this MACD, it's just barely above that center line, so most likely scenario here is consolidation or downside. As of right now, a lot can change by by morning, we can completely flip this around in the morning if we just see a crossing of that MACD. The important part here for AMC is the daily scale is finally turned up. You're above all the moving averages except for the 50. Okay, so that tells me all the moving averages are above the 200 now. Something crazy can happen. You're coming into the end of what I would call this consolidative triangle. So you want to see, does that break out? Does that break down? Now for the rest of this week, if you want to see something crazy, you got to get above 556. If you want to see something crazy for GME, you got to get above 2906. We're just going to talk briefly about volatility, and then we got to get to watching that debate. As of right now, you still have that crash signal intact. This 50 has not crossed back down below this 200, and we did this right? We got that reaction to the 200, and we popped up. Okay, now we need to pay attention if volatility starts to turn down, right? If volatility starts to turn down, that could mean we are going to see some kind of little squeeze for a moment. Maybe we get that reaction down to that 200 again. This is where I would first start to pay attention if volatility does start to subside. Okay, we're going to talk about something bullish for the market. If volatility subsides, that could mean some bullishness coming in. So we'll pay attention to that and pay attention for a reaction down towards that 200. But if that crosses and we get below that 200, you could see a little bit more extension if we are going to squeeze some people out, maybe get people euphoric in the market and set up some kind of trap if the dollar keeps doing what it's doing, remaining at higher levels, really basing out, giving those basing out signals, which we saw last week. So for the time being, though, we need to look at something that could be bearish, and that's the 30-minute signal here. These 30-minute signals is what I really want to pay attention to, because this is telling me, hey, volatility actually has a good chance to make some kind of sturdy bottom here with a overall triple divergence on the 30-minute. You see those 3 points there, and curls up on that MACD. That thing can go positive, and the 30 minutes in a positive trend again. Why is that bad? Well, because the 2-hour 30-minute divergences like to turn up the 2-hour. Look at that 2-hour right by that center line. The last time the 2-hour popped, what happened? Some crazy volatility came in. Now you're at higher levels, up towards 20. So if volatility wants to come in early tomorrow, that is definitely possible. You're going to see this 2-hour cross up, and maybe it pops off. We'll pay attention to divergences and things like that from volatility if we're seeing those basing out signals in the overall SPY and the Qs, but we can watch that live together tomorrow morning. So you're pretty much in a period of time where there's a way up, there's a way down, and you just have to be ready to react. So I guess the main takeaway here is, are we going to see something crazy from GME? Because the market makers and the short sellers overall expected it, because they knew earnings was coming. Therefore, they could expect something crazy, meaning something unexpected is a little bit less likely, but can that buying pressure actually extend over their money amount they have to suppress the stock? That's what you're looking at for GME right now and AMC as far as it goes. But we're in a moment of time where volatility itself even, right? A lot of things say, hey, I could head higher, I could head lower. Just pay attention to these little signals. Volatility is saying, I could head higher, I could head lower. So you're at a period of time where you really have to react. And that is something that we like to do on this channel, right? We have CPI, we have the debate, and we have GME earnings. Those are 3 rocks in our stream for tomorrow, and we have to figure out which way the water is going around those rocks in order to get to the meadow, because we don't want to end up in the sewer. So trade your signals, follow your signals very, very closely. We will do that with you live in the morning and live for the last hour of trading tomorrow. And thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. I think it's great that people are so interested in trying to learn and things like that. And I think that's fantastic. I'm learning from you guys, which I think is fantastic. Some people always point out stuff in the live stream that I actually do go look into, and I really like the information that people have and the questions they have. So if you have questions about the courses down in the description, please come to the live channel. We're pretty nice. We have a good time. It's a lot of fun, and we can maybe talk about that course a little bit and answer any questions that you may have, as it is on a major discount. Thank you so much for watching today. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you have all the luck in the world trading tomorrow, and have a good night. Peace.